Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Baseball Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and today we're going to have some fun with a little mock draft action. 10 teams, head-to-head categories is what we're doing. The Welsh always here, fresh off spring training, and he's in spring training. He looks svelte right now. Look at all of that.
Best shape of my life, Joe.
Best shape of your life. You know, I just want to contribute to the team. But yeah, man, I saw you were out there running back and forth in the outfield, doing the warning track jogs. Is that what's happening?
Me and Ichiro, just neither one of us playing in our older age of our greatness, and just
that's why you're not playing.
That's why I'm not playing.
Yeah,
exactly. It's not why Ichiro's not playing. Yeah, I got a ton of nuggets. Got to hang with a almost Cy Young winner. Got some great quotes from some of our favorite players. Just literally, I'm kind of sunburnt a little bit. Just went out and saw live pitching Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino over at the Royals. Nice. So I'm out doing the business, doing the fantasy baseball Lord's work.
And while you're running back and forth getting those nuggets, Scott Bogman and I are eating nuggets, watching you exercise and having a good time doing that. Scott Bogman, the host of our Dynasty Football podcast, along with the many other contributions here at Betting Pros and Fantasy Pros. Boggs, a little baseball action. I know you've kind of turned your brain because you and Welsh on ITL do all of the baseball stuff over there. It's not just football for you guys. So have you equated your brain now efficiently and reprogrammed it for baseball season?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've made my rankings and everything. I've updated them a bunch of times. I've been playing MLB The Show. I'm on it. I'm on it. We're ready to rock and roll.
Here's an important one though. Top nuggets. Who has the top nuggets?
Ooh, where do you get the best nuggets? Nuggets are still the best nuggets. I'm sorry. There's something about that weird batter.
They are like one chemical away from being plastic, but they do taste great, right?
The Chicky Nuggy, I can't even say it. The Chicky Nuggy bundle. You can get.
What is the Chicky Nuggy bundle?
The first time I got it was actually in Arizona with cousin Donnie. Actually, when we were out visiting, we were hungry and we went out and got the Chicky Nuggy bundle. It's like 4 20-piece nuggets and like 4 large fries and all this stuff, and you get all the drinks. And we got it for all the kids and stuff, and it was just it was a nugget fest. And this is going to be a nugget fest for fantasy baseball because we're going to go ahead with this draft, give you the players that we're targeting. That's right, the Sultan of Segway. And of course, don't forget to make sure you check out our draft kit, which is available for free at Fantasy Pros right now, fantasypros.com/draft kit. It's free. It's fabulous. And of course, if you're a premium subscriber, you get extra insights. I know I've got some pieces up there. There's more in terms of rankings, in terms of analysis, in terms of some of the other pieces you can use, and also fantasypros.com/mock if you want to get your mock draft on. And I know you do because you're watching the show right now. Make sure you're running those draft simulations. Use Draft Wizard. Download the app. It's spectacular. We tell you this all the time. You could run 1 million drafts in just a day. Just keep drafting all day long. Or you can create some drafts like we've done today and share them with your friends and enemies and go draft and have some fun and prepare, not against the robots. But today, we've got some friends joining us for the draft. We're going to kick things off in a second here. And of course, what we have is that 10-team league, 1 catcher, 1 infielder for everything there, first, second, third, and short. Then we've got the corner infield spot, the middle infield spot. We've got 5 outfielders, a utility spot, and 9 pitching spots with 5 bench today, which should be fun. Now, I am going to be drafting from the turn of 10, Scott Bogman from 7. The Welsh is from the 3 spot here, where he loves to be in the 3 spot because we know he's getting something fancy. We already know his whole thing. So we got NK joining us, J-Rod for MVP, which I've already bet, by the way. Also, there is a right now, you can put it out there. There is a parlay for $10. Ohtani for MVP, Julio for MVP, and Garrett Cole for Cy Young. $10 wins you $8,000, folks. Got to put it in there. I want you to
Joe and I had this whole thing last week. We were doing this. I did a version of that too. I did Ohtani MVP and Cole Cy Young, and I got like 14,000 to 1. Or I got some crazy number. I'm up, gentlemen. I'm ready to put some fancy sauce on this pick.
Acuna's gone and Julio gone.
Well, I'm going to go take the guy that I just spent some time with, Mr. 288 million, Bobby Witt Jr. at 3. Thank you very much. He's my number 2 player.
It's a good feeling. It's a 30-second clock, too, so things are going to move briskly here. Corbin Carroll goes next. Then Jeff is up here. We've got Scam. We got Bogman. We've got Mel Brown and Silver drafting. Silver. We couldn't get Bronze. Bronze was busy here today. So Boggs sitting in the middle of the draft here, fantasy-wise, look, it's a pretty strong first round this year. I mean, you have the Sotos, you have the Otanis, you have the Aaron Judge, even Fernando Tatis kind of floating in that middle. Is there a guy you have your eye on that you're trying to get on your roster here to start things off?
I mean, it would be a dream if Tucker or Betts fell to me, and it probably won't be. But I picked 7 because I do think that 7 is like one of the hardest spots, because I think the top 6 for me are Acuna, Witt, Julio, Carroll, Betts, and Tucker. And then it's that 7th guy that I'm kind of wishy-washy on. So I have Tucker ahead, and he went one spot ahead of me.
He did. Mookie Betts and Tucker right before. So Tatis, Freeman, Judge, Soto, all on the board. Not too shabby, though, Boggs.
Yeah, it's still a good spot to be in. And my favorite spot to be in is actually where you are, because I like to be on the very end, because you're getting 2 good players. But
especially in a 10-man. Especially in a 10-man. 10 is amazing.
But I'm going to take the cheater here. Give me Tatis Jr. He just does too much.
He does too much. That's what I've been told my whole life.
Yes. What are you thinking here in the 10-man? One thing, we did a 10-man mock, and we noticed pitching actually kind of went at a little bit of a premium in the shorter version because people were trying to get their top guys. Will you consider a Strider, as Aaron Judge went 8 on the wheel?
No, probably not. In fact, because as a 10 team, I'm probably going to wait even longer at pitching. Soto goes right before after Tatis and Judge. So I was hoping Soto would make it to me. He did not. So now I'm going to have to settle for some guys here, I guess. Ozzie Albies right now at the top of the board at second base. You know I love me some Albies. The draft wizard is telling me Freddie Freeman, and I think that's a good pick there. So I'm going to take Freeman. I'm going to take Ohtani, all of the Dodgers. That's where I'm going to start things off here. That's my start.
I love Ohtani, too, in this format of a 10-man.
By the way, I understand your thought about the pitching, Welsh, is a clear one, which is, hey, because as a 10 team, you do have those. You start with 2 elite guys, you are certainly up there, but I just can't do it. I cannot let the offense go. Those elite offensive guys are just too good.
I get it. And the thing is, you can balance out in a 10-man, you're going to just have better pitchers, but there is an advantage to the guy that goes a little bit early.
Sure.
You could have a Strider. You could have a Pablo Lopez. You could have a Kirby. The Kirby could be your 3 or something like that in a 10-man. So you could take what is depth and turn it into an advantage. By the way, I love Ohtani in this 10-man format too, because people are getting too stuck up on the util stuff. I love the MVP odds. So you getting Freeman and Ohtani, I think, is an insane start. Then we had back-to-back pitchers, by the way, Strider and Cole, and then Boggs. Who did you take?
I took Yordan. And the reason I took Yordan is because I got some stolen bases with Fernando Tatis. So give me the best well-rounded hitter in this spot, and that is Yordan.
And after Alvarez goes, Trey Turner goes next. And as you can see, too, as we're going through this draft, and if you haven't used the software yet, I encourage you all, again, sync your leagues. It is free to sync your leagues. Use all the tools. And then when you're premium, you can use all the draft software that hooks up, whether you are a CBS drafter or a Yahoo drafter. It doesn't matter where you're drafting, because Draft Wizard will hook up to all of them, give you the pick insights, give you the player predictions. The pick predictor is something I use a ton when you're looking and seeing the percentages of what guys will come back to you, which I absolutely love. That's how I love to see the tiers too. And of course, you can use tiers. You can use the cheat sheet creator. There's all these possibilities to make sure you're getting the best draft every single time that you're doing.
But the coolest thing is we mentioned is you can literally just do this for free. You can set up, do your league settings, play around, and then you want to get advanced, get crazy, get all the fancy sauce on your team of nugs, and you're good to go. So
fancy sauce on the nugs. That's how we live here. All right. So as you said, Alvarez goes, then Trey Turner at 2.5, at 2.6, Jose Ramirez, Matt Olson at 2.7, and then the Welsh. You are up next here at 2.08.
Yeah, I had a great spot because when I realized 2 picks ago, I was getting one of Ramirez, Olson, or Harper. I have them both ahead of Harper, but Harper's a great consolation prize because I'm going to get stolen bases. I love the bounce back. So I am going to be starting this off with Bobby Witt Jr. and Bryce Harper. Could not think of a better way to start this bad boy off.
10-team leagues, Boggs, are always more fun, right? I mean, you look at, you're like, I have all these fun players. They're so good. Look at all my all-star
You say it just like that, too. You go, hey, everybody.
Well, it's so funny because, like, the voice of somebody who plays in the shallow league is excited and yay, and then the people who play in the deep, you guys don't talk enough about. You guys should
my ALNL only 15-team man league.
I think those actually they still sound the same. They go, I don't like that pick. It doesn't follow the. You shouldn't follow ADP.
You know, it is stunning to me. There's a lot of people that still play in the only leagues, and I get that. You know, I to me, it's just it was never something. I understand it. It's old habits dying hard. It's just not something that interests me. And I think everybody in fantasy, no matter it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever, you should play in the leagues that you like to play in. You know, if you don't like playing in 2-catcher leagues, stop. You know, if you don't like playing in deeper leagues, don't do it anymore if you don't feel like the player pool is useful enough. As we continue on with the picks here, after Bryce Harper goes, heck of a start there for Welsh. Austin Riley at 209, then Rafael Devers closing out the second round. To begin the third round, Vlad Guerrero Jr. could be a huge bounce back. So Nick goes Devers and Guerrero with Acuna. That is a hell of a start to a baseball team, folks. Pete Alonso at 302. The Welsh, you're back on the clock for 303. What are you doing?
Man, there's a lot. I'm leaning Albies. Interesting enough,
It's
the experts want Corey Seager. I want Albies, but I am looking at Corbin Burns. This is an opportunity to get an ace, but I'm also not going to pass up Albies. So I'm going to get lots of stolen bases out of position, lots of homers. I have filled in my infield a big amount. I absolutely love this team, but I left a lot of good players on the board for everybody. Mm-hmm. Corbin Burns, snap pick right after me. And then Corey Seager is just becoming a value at this point. He's probably going to break camp. There's still high batting average, even if he's a DH. Third, fourth round is a money spot for Seager. And had I not taken Witt, had I gotten Julio, I probably would have taken Seager there in the third round.
Boo earns, I believe is what you're looking for there. All right, let's get to Albies, then Corbin Burns, Corey Seager. Zach Wheeler goes next. Scott Bogman on the clock for 307. What do you got, Scott?
I'm going to take Francisco Lindor here. It was tough for me between Simeon, Lubob, and Lindor. I did want Wheeler. I have a tier of 4 pitchers, and he was one of them left, but he went one spot ahead of me, so I will go ahead and snap up Lindor here.
That's
there is a pitcher still floating that I would take. And I love the Lindor pick. Last year, I couldn't believe the discount you were getting on Lindor. I understand that, 2022 was slightly disappointing, for some people because the stolen bases were just at 16. They had higher expectations, but he doubled that number year over year from 16 to 30. I know the batting average dipped a little bit, but you got 31 bombs, so you'll be okay. After Lindor, Michael Harris goes. Silver's on the clock, and then it comes to me. Now, if Kevin Gausman makes it to me, I got to say, that's the one dude. Since 2020, he has the 4th most strikeouts in Major League Baseball. Did you know that, gentlemen? That's a fun fact from Uncle Joe. You like that?
It's a great fact from Uncle Joe. I love that
so
pick.
Gunnar Henderson goes. I'm going to take my ace and Kevin Gausman and go there. The Wizard is talking to me about Marcus Semien, which I hear them, but it's a 5 outfielder league, even though it's shallow. So I'm going to go outfield here and take Luis Robert. So I'm going to go ahead and take
him. I love that pick. I almost took him in the last round too.
I feel good about this start. Ohtani, Freeman, Gausman, and Luis Robert. Not too shabby there. Not too shabby. All right, we are going to get back to Scott Bogman in a second here. 4:02 Silver's on the clock here. Boggs, is there a position that you feel kind of concerned about going into 2024? You just feel it's a little light, or you don't like the potential bottom drop off?
I feel like I had a little bit of that earlier in outfield. I feel like outfield is cleared up a little bit. I feel like it was a little muddy. It's still a little shallow, but
but that's okay.
Outfield is outfield is the one that I worry about, and I'm happy here for this start because I started 2 outfielders, and I just took Pablo Lopez as my first pitcher here.
There you go. So
would you have taken Semien had he gotten to you?
No, I was between Ellie and Pablo. So Semien, Simeon's a great pick here too, and I do have him highly ranked, but I wasn't thinking about him in this spot.
Honestly, I would have taken Semien had Gausman not made it to me. Like if Gunnar Henderson pick there at 309 had been Gausman, I probably would have gone Luis Robert and Semien. That's probably where I would have gone. Because Simeon's one of these dudes I feel like every year just doesn't seem to get enough credit. I mean, look at the last 3 years of Semien. They've been rock solid. I know 2022, there's some down moments, slow start, but then he rebounded pretty well. And then last year, 29 homers, 100 RBI, 14 steals, 276. I mean, that's a very solid player. The projections on FantasyPros for him, pretty much the same kind of realm too. Looking at 100 runs, 27 bombs, somewhere around 80 plus RBIs there. Looking forward here after Pablo Lopez, Jose Altuve, Luis Castillo, Bo Bichette, and then Welsh at 408. You went pitcher.
I went with my guy, George Kirby. I love him. Came out today, too, as we're recording this, that he wants to play around with a knuckleball. He wants to start throwing a knuckle curve on top of, multiple fastballs and splitter he added and slider. He is a dynamic pitcher that does not walk, has a nice mid-90s fastball that I think it is going to be easier for a guy like him to add strikeouts, and he could be one of the best in the business. So getting him in the 4th round, this is an elite pitcher, and I am really wanting Zach Gallen. Like I am like bated breath here.
How bad do you want him?
I want Zach Gallen.
You really want him?
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
I had all the analogies, but I was going to get one wrong.
Can you guys name the other pitchers in that cluster since 2020 with the most strikeouts?
Garrett Cole
has to be in there.
Garrett Cole's number 1. That is correct. And Garrett Cole's number 1 by a good amount too. Just want to throw that out there. Garrett Cole is at 816. Kevin Gossman, 748. Who are the other two guys in the top 4?
Verlander?
Nope. It's not Justin Verlander.
Verlander.
I'll give you a hint. Both of them. One of them pitches for the Phillies, and the other
Wheeler.
one just got traded.
Wheeler?
No, it's not Wheeler. It's Aaron Nola.
Oh, okay.
Aaron Nola and Corbin Bouerns.
Okay. So, I got Zach Gallen, so I just started my rotation. George Kirby and Zach Gallen to go with my 3 hitters. That's why 10-man is an incredible time for your confidence. Yeah. My God. I feel great. I'm feeling great.
I'm glad we're doing the 10-man league. It's a holiday today anyway.
Real quick, Joe, just so you know, the cycle of the Welsh draft, it's most amazing team ever, hate my team, how did you guys let me get away with this? I'm murdering everyone. That is the cycle.
So we haven't hit where I start to draft. Hate.
Yeah, right.
I look forward to that evolution. I'm here for it. All right, so after Kirby, you got C.J. Abrams going to 409, Randy Rosarena at 410. Starting off the 5th round, Tyler Glasnow. Love Glasnow this year. I'm willing to take the risk. I will talk to you guys about that in a second. Mike Trout, a 5th round pick. Look at us. Look at what's happening. Zach Gallen goes to the Welsh. Then Garcia from Texas at 504. Tariq Skubal at 505. Yamamoto. And that's how I'm going to say it all year, just like Jiminy Glick, because it's my favorite Jiminy Glick name. I just want to hear Martin Short in my head says Yoshinobu Yamamoto over and over again. And it's never going to get old for me. Matt McLean at 507.
Well, at least you have a good reason.
At least I have a good reason. Let's talk about your pick of Matt McLean at 507, Boggs.
I think I'm highest in the world on Matt McLean in terms of ECR. I just love this Reds lineup. I like his flexibility at second and short. I think he's hitting in the top of the lineup. Also, I don't know why more people aren't higher on him. And I did get the short reach, which is a good scouting report on me. But also what I did with Matt McLean on according to the Draft Wizard. So not a surprise that I reached, but I do like him a lot.
You know what? I'm gonna go cuckoo here. I mean, there's the pitching value here on the board is just a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. I took after you took McLean, Adley Rutschman, Logan Webb go. I took Aaron Nola here. I'm looking at the rest of this board here, and the suggestions are intriguing, but I don't want to go closer. Pitcher is really, I think, what's out there for me. But Goldschmidt, Machado, I'm going to go ahead and take Goldschmidt. I just think he's the best player on the board here. I know I have a first baseman, but we are playing corners, so I'm just going to take board value, and I went another pitcher as well.
If you were there in my next pick, I would have done the exact same thing because I think he's way too good of a value. And I've said that a decent amount here. In these first couple rounds, obviously we need to build them out. We need to focus on positions. But if I think if I have a first baseman and I think another first baseman is an incredible value, I'm still going to take them. Goldie just
top of the 6th round. I mean, Goldie's a 3,100 guy. I don't care that last year was only 25, 80. That's it was a down year. I don't think he's done. I just wrote a piece on this on FantasyPros.com. You can go read that. It's my favorite draft values or the guys that I'm targeting at each position. And Goldie's one of those guys. And look, I took Freeman already. So not only have I drained the pool a little bit here, when it comes to the corners, but at the same time, Welsh, you mentioned it, the consistency's there. I was tempted to go Manny Machado too, but third base to me has some guys that I can live with still on that board, whereas first base, after this Goldschmidt drop-off, Bellinger's still not signed. I do like Nolan Jones. Christian Walker's solid, but I don't know, man. It just felt like Goldie is a good value there. Framber Valdez goes at 602, Royce Lewis at 603, Mel, and then Freddie Peralta, who I almost took, Boggs. That was almost what I was going to do, double tap pitching and just go bananas here in this draft, but I did not, and I'm mad that I didn't. So good job on you. Freddie Peralta is an ace, and I don't feel like he is being drafted as such, but you did it. You did it.
I took him. Look, I'm not doing cartwheels or anything. Freddie Peralta's a fine pick. I feel like at that point, though, I just kind of had to keep pace at pitching. Freddie's not my favorite guy, but he was my highest ranked, so that's why I went with him.
I mean, the strikeout rate's off the chart.
It's off the charts, but he is injury prone, and I'm not.
Oh man, the guy's had a 30% strikeout rate 3 of the last 4 seasons.
He's great when he's out there. He's amazing.
He just deserves a little bit more credit, I think. I'm okay with him as my ace in some leagues, and I know people are like, "Wow, how could that be?"
He's my second. I have Pablo and Freddie, but
love him as a 2. but I'm willing to go as an ace with him. Nico Horner goes next to Scam at 605.
You ready to go steady with him?
Manny Machado. I am ready. I'm ready for him. Actually, I'll wear his varsity jacket. I'm okay.
Wow.
I'm comfortable enough in my sexuality.
Getting
I will
real.
wear his jacket. Max Fried goes, and then speak of the devil, Cody Bellinger to the Welsh. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it was just a decent deal. Like I had two. I have no outfielders, and Nolan Jones was out there. Cody Bellinger. It's literally my debate of debates that Joe and you and I have done it. Boggs and I have done it. I'm just not the biggest Nolan Jones guy. He ran crazy high BABIPs. It's a great ballpark, of course. But Bellinger, he's actually still there. I could actually still get Nolan Jones. I need outfielders. Oh man, I actually do need outfielders. Yeah, but here's the deal, though. I have to stay true to everything I've said because he will not come back to me. I'm taking O'Neal Cruz because Bogman 100% would take him within the next 2 picks. And you have to know where you're drafting. I already have a shortstop, but I need O'Neal Cruz in all of my drafts. So I pass it. And it's also a 10-man. So I feel that I can pass up need a little bit more in this format for players that I think are going to put up monster stats. And that is O'Neal Cruz, who I just took at pick 63. And I think his ECR rank is 67. And I'm the highest in the world on him.
So recapping the picks here, after Bellinger, Gleyber Torres, Blake Snell at 6'10", then Yuri Perez kicks off the 7th round, Devin Williams, Cruz to the Welsh at 7'3", Josh Hader at 7'4", Nolan Jones to Jeff McGowan at 7:05. Scams on the clock. Bogman, you're on deck here. Boggs, what are you looking at here? What are you hoping makes it to you?
I was hoping for Hader, but I will take Class A. So get a closer here. I don't love drafting closers this early. I like to get a little.
Well, it is a 10-team league, so there's a little bit more, flexibility there.
There is, but I want a top tier one. So give me Class A.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. This is a safe space.
Hey,
I want to trigger you into taking
I get peer pressure enough by one side of my brain to the other side of the brain. I don't need it from you too. Fine.
So Nolan Jones went at 7:05. Christian Walker at 7:06. Bogman took Class A. At 7:08 goes Grayson Rodriguez. Welsh, you think that's a good value there for Rodriguez, or still a little too high?
I wouldn't use the word
of guys like Senga right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word value that's happening right now. Yuri Perez went a tiny bit ago. I just did a social short on him. I think he's going to be great. But if you want to use the word value on some of those rookie pitchers, no, because like you said, Logan Gilbert's out there. Senga was just out there. He literally just went before you. So they're fine picks, but they're going higher and higher, and people are locking up their dudes.
All right. Speaking of locking up the dudes, after Rodriguez, Senga goes at 7:09. Yeah. I took Jazz Chisholm. It's funny, Welsh. We were talking about Chisholm and Trout being very close in ECR. And, both guys you have concerns with. And Trout went in the 5th round, and I just got him at the beginning and the end of the 7th. So, yeah, I'll take that every single time. Third base is something I want to lock in here. I'm going to go ahead and take Alex Bregman. It's boring, but I don't care.
That is your guy. Like, you are going to have every share of Alex Bregman.
Well, but if I look, Royce Lewis went a little early for my taste. I like Royce Lewis, but in a 10-team league, I think he went just a hair early. So I'm ready to make that pivot. Bregman's going to give me 25 homers, 100 runs, 100 RBI. And he's going to hit 260 plus. I mean, he's not going to steal bases. Oh, well, that's fine. That's why I drafted Chisholm. Like, that's fine. So give me that guy I can lock in. Arenado was still there too, but after Arenado, it is a drop-off, in my opinion, to the Josh Youngs of the world, who, again, I like Young, but I don't think he's quite Bregman level in terms of I feel so comfortable with Young, whereas the track record of Bregman's just a little better for me. More closers off the board here at 8:02. Duran from Minnesota, then Bobby Miller at 8:03. Logan Gilbert, another Seattle Mariner pitcher. That Seattle staff is very stout. Scott Bogman, how do you feel about your number 3 starter here?
Yeah, I like Gilbert here, and this is I think this is where we're getting to the point where Welsh said that pitching starts to go a little bit earlier because you have to stay elite. It's an arms race in a 10-man, right? You have to have top-tier pitching. So I was kind of hemming and hawing between a couple positions, and at the end of the day, I just went starter.
That's okay. What do you prefer?
Yelich is the guy that I was going to take, and Ha-Seong Kim was on my board as well in my queue, too. I mean. So
you like a good hem or a good haw? What's your preference?
I like to haw. I think at the end, is better.
Do you like?
Do
you like a good haw when you he?
Hee haw. Sometimes. I'll say sometimes.
Well, that's fair.
Trying to gauge the hee haws. I'm going to take Closer and Duvall.
Edwin Diaz at 8:05, then Christian Yelich at 8:06. Ha-Seong Kim goes next here, so we are in the thick now of, I feel like, the last tidal wave of players we like getting drafted. Welsh, you also went closer, so you're in the closer run at 808. How do you feel about your selection of Doval?
Yeah, he's the last of like the tier of those guys that I really like near the tippy top. In a 10-man, you really don't need to. You can just chase cheap saves. But if I get a guy like Doval, then I don't have to think about it for a while. I can just get another cheapish guy, but I got one elite guy that can hold me up. Only reason I did it was just because he was the end of a tier, but there are still guys like Jordan Romano, Iglesias, if you like them. I just thought he was right above. I did pass on Reynolds, and he went right after. Arenado, Bogarts, Fairbanks all went. And I did this knowing that I was going to take starting pitcher. There are two pitchers I like on the board. Eflin is out there, and that's actually the pick predictor. The highest pitcher pick predictor is him, and it is who it says the experts say I should take, but I'm a Joe Ryan guy. So I'm going to take Joe Ryan. I'm going to go away from the board there and get me Joe Ryan with the lower ERA, walks, strikeout numbers, all that for my third SP.
All right, so let's recap the picks. After Doval, Brian Reynolds, very steady guy. We just talked about him on a recent podcast at 809. Nolan Arenado, a great value at 810. Xander Bogaerts, I was hoping he would make it back down to me. He did not. I figured he wouldn't, but again, that's a nice 2020 shortstop right there in the 9th round. Great value. NK's crushing this draft. I think we're all looking up at NK at the end. That's my prediction when we look at the analysis at the end. Pete Fairbanks goes at 902. Joe Ryan to the Welsh at 903. Then Josh Young off the board, Josh Lowe off the board, Kyle Schwarber at 906, Scott Bogman, 907. What are you doing?
Still don't have a first baseman. Casas is the last of kind of a tier to me, so that is what I'm going to do here, is take the power hitter.
That was another one of those, like, I was considering taking, not caring about the corner infield stuff. Casas is a great pick.
Yep, very solid selection there. So after you go ahead and take Casas, we have Mel Brown on the board at 908 and a couple picks to me. I really like, the pitching's really been here. For me, every time it's come back down, there's some names, a lot of them that I still like. Eflin, still on the board. Luzardo, Justin Steele, Welsh's new best friend, all on the board. I mean, it's really tough here because to me, that's where the best value is. We had a couple go here after Casas Iglesias, then Luzardo goes. So it is really tough for me to pass on Eflin after that season.
Eflin's impossible to pass
I'm just not going to do it. I love Musgrove down here too. The shoulder does bother me just a little bit. I got a value pick, thumbs up there. So very good feeling for me. I definitely need some outfield. That's certainly there. The shortstop position is kind of dried up a little bit, unfortunately, so hasn't quite gone my way. Ketel Marte, a decent player here. Wizard is telling me to go closer, but goodness knows I don't want to do that because I'm Joe Pisapia, so I'm just not going to. So you know what I'm going to do? Something I never do. I'm just going to keep going pitching. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take your new best friend, Mr. Steele.
Oh, you're such a dirtbag. You're such a dirtbag. I was literally going to take it. People don't know, by the way, because I haven't announced anything like that. But I spent part of the weekend.
Oh, by the way, there's so many people who love this part of the show, and there's a growing contingent that hate the Welsh at spring training stories. And for all the people, just fast forward another 30 seconds to 45.
Well, this one is a little different, but I hung out with Justin Steele. And here's what I'm going to tell. By the way, we DM because we're the new best friends. But Justin Steele loves FantasyPros. Yeah, he has Draft Wizard on his phone.
He's got the app. He's got the app. Do you have the app on your phone? Are you better than Justin Steele?
He's one of you. He is listening right now.
He loves FantasyPros, and that's something I'll be promoting.
He's a big fantasy football guy, big wagering guy, big DFS guy. So
loves DFS.
He was very excited to hang out with us.
So. You all would love him, but he's my best friend, and now Joe took him because he's being rude. And anybody doesn't like my stories, by the way. Get out of here.
Yeah, well, who doesn't like a good Welsh story? Welsh, what do you think?
Pisapia, I think maybe a guy that doesn't.
Yeah, I think we found someone who doesn't like him.
Yeah, seriously. All those burner accounts I have on YouTube. I know it's a 10-team league, but Welsh, Gossman, Nola, Eflin, and Steele. That's a pretty solid fantasy rotation.
It is really good.
Yeah, 10-teamer.
Right. I am going to
Let's
go.
recap here.
Oh, no.
After I took Steele, Bednar goes at 10:02. Then at 10:03, Romano. Spencer Steer to Scott Bogman. Bogman, you like the flexibility of Spencer Steer and potentially the productivity of him as well, coming off a pretty strong season last year.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. He qualifies first, third, and outfielder. For my team, he'll be third to start. And that was kind of getting a little dicey too, first and third. Even in a 10-man, I was letting them slip a little bit, and I think I shouldn't have it. NK.
Oh, that is who I was going to take. I took Sayat to get Reagan's coming back. Bogman, you were never getting him.
Yeah,
but,
that's Welsh's favorite thing.
Yeah.
You were never getting him. You're never gonna get it. Never gonna.
The other thing I love too on Draft Wizard, I'm looking right now, is like you could see, if you click on categories, you could see where you're ranking projected wise so far in the draft. So I am 3rd in runs, 5th in homers, 2nd in RBI, I'm middle of the pack in stolen bases, towards the top in average. But on the pitching side now, 1st in wins, 2nd in strikeouts, middle of the pack in ERA and WHIP. I got to get some saves. That's what I need right now. And speaking of the needs and saves, we'll continue to recap some of these picks that have just come in. Real Muto at 10:05 after Bogman selection. Will Smith, Spencer Torkelson. Welsh, you took Seiya Suzuki at 10:08. Then Marte goes at 10:09. Reagan's, much to your chagrin, at 10:10. Dylan Cease, Andres Munoz. Welsh, you're on the clock at 11:03. Let's talk about your new selection at 11:03 and your recent pick of Suzuki.
Well, I decided to go another outfielder, and I was really battling here.
Evan Carter's overrated. I said it.
He might be a little bit, but he's going to be hitting 3. I almost took Joe Musgrove because of the Reagan stuff, but yeah, I went with Evan Carter for batting average. I think that's going to help. Seiya Suzuki and Carter are both going to be batting average plays when I have a guy like O'Neal Cruz who could be maybe a problem. So I'm just shoring up a little bit more of that. But and Jordan Walker, that was the guy, Boggs, that I was battling Carter versus Walker, but I have so much power. I pressed it a little bit for a higher spot in the batting average. This is a really tough round because there's a lot of guys, nobody stands out, but there's a lot of players that you want to fit out the mold of your team. And that was my struggle. I had like 5 guys that I wanted. None of them were going to last.
All right, let's continue on here after you took, after Carter goes, Contreras, Bradish, Musgrove, and then Scott Bogman, you selected a Cardinal. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Jordan Walker, I was just sticking with little power speed combo here. Another outfielder too, because I haven't taken one since the first 2 rounds when I took Tatis and Jordan, and he just fit my team and my needs. So I thought it fit very well.
Teams and needs coming together. It's a beautiful thing. Bryson Stott at 11:08. Lane Thomas at 11:10. By the way, Joe Musgrove at 11:06. That is an incredible value in this draft. That ain't going to be here in 2 weeks from now. I'm telling you right now.
No.
Then after Stott and Lane Thomas, I finally did break down and took a closer. I don't love it, but whatever. I took Diaz, Alexis Diaz, and the lesser Diaz. But then I took Andres Jimenez too, which I like as that value. Bump up those stolen bases a little bit there. 30 steals last year, still going to give me 15 homer power there. I still think there's a level in Andres Jimenez we haven't quite seen yet. I don't know if he's going to kick it up a notch in 2024, but look, this is going to be his 5th season here in the big league level. And I think that sometimes you see that where players start to figure things out. And it would not surprise me if Jimenez had another leap potentially in this year. And I'll tell you what, man, when you start to look at some of these pitchers remaining on the board, after Bybee, some of these names are dicey for me. I mean, Sonny Gray, can he repeat last year? Maybe, Walker Buehler coming off an injury. I'm feeling much better about this pitching staff. Geloff goes 12-2. Paul Sewald at 12:03. Bogman, you took Phillips. I almost double tap closer, but I couldn't pass on Jimenez. Phillips, the closer of the Dodgers, not a bad consolation prize.
Yeah, and I mean, we just had Dave Roberts come out and say he's going to get the save ops for this team. I think maybe Evan Phillips had a good year last year. People were kind of wishy-washy. They were, if you will, hemming and hawing on him because the Dodgers
you can only do that once.
They spend so much money. Well, it's hemming and hawing, not hem and haw one time. So it's ING.
Welsh, can we get a ruling on this? I think you can only hem and haw once a podcast.
Unfortunately, the rule of mock draft analogies and sayings, only once.
Only once.
That's the official.
Bogman, that's 10-yard penalty.
Come on.
Repeat first down. Go ahead. You can talk about your pick
first.
But I mean, look, I just needed another closer here. I have 2 really good ones, which means I can ignore that spot probably for the rest of this draft. And maybe I'll get one more relief pitcher. But, I have that locked up, and I have, the team that is projected to win the most games, the closer for them. So I think it's a pretty good spot. I think he's a little undervalued for where he is right now in the overall rankings.
I would agree with that sentiment. All right, let's continue on with the draft here. So after you went ahead and took Phillips, Yandy Diaz goes, Castellanos goes. Here's all the outfielders in my queue just went. Castellanos, Springer, Teoscar Hernandez to you, Welsh. Congratulations, you got the last one.
Yeah, and all the good players are going too. So
Yes,
Riley
Josh
Green
Miller goes
and
at
Churio are who
1209.
I wanted.
Churio goes, Riley Green
Right.
goes, NK's crushing this draft.
Let's get that check in, Welsh. How you feeling about that team right now?
Welsh
Right in the middle
we're
of,
all right. We're all
Yeah,
right.
but look,
yeah,
Tanner
there it
Scott at
is.
1302, but great value is Dansby Swanson at 1303. I think you feel good about that one, Welsh. Hernandez and Swanson, that's good.
Yeah, we're all right. We're in the place where maybe I'm horrible at my job and I should just, never look at fantasy again and I should never draft, and it just doesn't look good, and the projections hate me, the cheat sheet hates me, the draft does. People hate that I tell stories about players, and I'm just going to drink water.
Yeah, sure. Water. That's in air quotes, by the way, if you're not watching. Justin Verlander goes after that. Tanner Bybee, great value at 1305. I'm a big Bybee guy. 1306 is on the clock, waiting for Scam to make a pick. Scott Bogman, you're on deck. So what are you looking for here when you're looking at your roster? What's the hole, as Sonny Gray is now off the board as well?
Well, I'm looking at the categories here. I am dead last in stolen bases. So let's just go ahead and take care of that and take Esteury Ruiz.
Well, that'll help. That'll certainly help that. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the categories after that selection.
Second.
Scott Bogman just moved up to second, folks, from dead last with one pick. Oh, gross. That's the worst.
So
all right,
stupid.
This is the point in the draft when you start taking some shots. Pasquantino goes, Santander goes, which I'm really mad about because that was like the last guy really at outfield that I wanted. I feel good about Anthony Volpe. I don't think he's a 200 hitter. I just don't. I've seen enough of him in person where I just don't believe it. I need a shortstop. I'm going to take a little leap of faith here. And this is where, when you get to round 13, you got to start taking some jumps here. The Wizard is telling me to take a closer potentially too. Don't love the guys still out there, so I'm going to pass on that. Thanks, Wizard. Instead, they're telling me to take Diaz. That would be a good selection for me, a catcher. I don't tend to take catchers, but you know what? Outfield is gross right now, so I'm going to go ahead and lock up Diaz as the catcher, try to get an RPV advantage there because the rest of the catchers on the board too, it's Sal Perez, and then that's kind of a big drop-off after that. So for me, it's Volpe, it's Diaz, the Surfer, then Mel Brown, Scott Bogman. Looking at your roster, you just got that big bump here. And this is, for those of you playing Roto, I know this is head-to-head, but still, if you're looking at those categories live as you're drafting, it really makes an enormous difference. So you can see where you are in the standings as you're drafting live. And again, if you haven't used the software, fantasypros.com/mock, or just download Draft Wizard and check it out because it's live, it's there. Sync your leagues for free. Bogman, we are approaching your selection here next. So again, what is the pick for you? Oh, the pick is in. What is it?
Merrill Kelly. Give me another starter. I've got Pablo, Freddie, Logan, Gilbert, and Merrill. Probably need to concentrate a little bit on starters moving forward here.
There you go. A little bit more concentration there. Some good values. Now we're getting into the sleepers because after Diaz, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Clay Holmes, Merle, then Ryan Helsley, Walker Buehler. Welsh, you're up on the clock here. So I know this is the sad time for you in the draft, the middle rounds. Mullins goes at 1407.
I don't like my
so
draft.
You're up next, Welsh.
Yeah, ready to do something stupid. Well, one thing I will tell you in this platform, because he also qualifies at it on Yahoo, and that's why he is, being able to get Marcell Ozuna as an outfielder, as a fifth outfielder, is an absolute steal. So I'm snagging Marcell Ozuna. It was something Bogman and I talked about drafting on a Yahoo league too. That is one of those players that is an advantage. Marcell Ozuna not being a util, bump him right up. Because I have Dansby at util, and in most instances, like in a ESPN league of 20, I couldn't even use Ozuna because he's util only. This platform, that's an advantage. Take it, and that's going to bump up outfield categories for Ozuna. 30 home run bat as your outfielder 5 at, almost pick 150 is stupid.
TJ Friedel goes at 1409. Then Shane Bieber 1410. Then Chris Sale. So NK taking some shots at pitching here as the offense is stout. But again, if you wait too long on pitching, then you're going to need these guys. Now maybe you get a bounce back from Bieber and maybe Sale. In Atlanta, change of scenery, has a good season. Bogman, what do you think of that Chris Sale trade here from the
I thought it was great. I know a lot of people think Chris Sale's washed because, I wanted Soler so bad. A lot of people think he's washed because, he's been hurt. We waited for him to be hurt for so long. And it finally happened, and it's happened a bunch of times in a row now. But he's pretty good in the second half. Atlanta is going to get him a lot of run support. Defense is pretty solid. I think I think it's a great landing spot for him.
Yeah, look, it's certainly upside, but let me tell you, Charlie Morton looked like he was about done last year.
Charlie Morton.
And that's if Morton goes south fast and Sale does not regain any form, that Braves rotation's in a bit of trouble. That's a team that, in my opinion, should be going out there and kicking the doors on Jordan Montgomery, who, by the way, was selected by the Welsh at 1503. Look at that segue.
Yep, I was trying to pick up, a guy that's going to stack some wins, decent ERA, whip number. He's not a big strikeout guy, but I think I've covered strikeouts a whole bunch, and I'm playing a little bit of catch up because I've gone really heavy hitting the categories here. And again, like Joe said, you can go in as you're drafting, you can see suggestions, cheat sheets, draft boards, projections, and category shows you kind of where you're at. I was kind of lagging offensively, so I was making a little bit of an offensive focus. I'm sitting good to top middle in pitching, so now I'm going to kind of jump back into it because there really are some great deals. They're not crazy sexy, but they're the Jordan Montgomery types, the Chris Bassett types. Those are guys that fill out your rotation. So this is what I'm all about in this range. We're coming back.
By the way, Montgomery, better. Snell, and Bellinger still, as of today, have yet to sign, and all three Scott Boras clients. What a shock. Bassett goes at 1504, Ian Happ at 1505, Yoshida at 1506. Scott Bogman, you got a burger for takeout at 1507.
Well, it's no secret around here or anywhere I am where people have eyeballs that I like burgers, right? So why not get just another one? But honestly, it's because my projections in terms of power are bad. Right now, I'm last, but I mean, the difference in runs between runs, not power, runs and RBIs is 7 between NK at the top and me at the bottom. So the margins here are very, very thin in a 10-man. So,
yep, certainly are.
Joe, you're the worst. You're the worst.
I am the worst. I don't know. I took one of your least favorite things. I would have thought you'd be happy.
You took one of you took least favorite and favorite thing.
Yeah, that's right. I want to stab you in the front and then stab you back. I want you to know it was me. So after Hunter Green goes at 1508, James Outman at 1509. My team was lacking some batting average, so I took Luis Ariz because I know Welsh would love that pick. And then I took Michael King to start the 16th round. Feel good about Michael King there as my fifth.
Nobody in the world is higher. As Joe, nobody in the world is higher than me. I'm the number one Michael King guy, but apparently Pisapia.
I feel like I'm right behind you. By the way, my outfield is going to stink in this draft.
Get out of here.
Chaz McCormick goes next. Alec Boehm after that. Then Rhys Hoskins to Bogman. So Hoskins hasn't played for a year, Boggs. Are you concerned with the rust in the layoff there?
I mean, sure, a little bit. I think you have to be, but that's why he's going so low. What was that? Right around pick 150 in a 10-man. So a 10-man. Yeah, I mean, I just think I'm thinking of pizza now, burgers and pizza. I said pan, but yeah, Hoskins. I'm looking for a bounce back for sure.
All right, so touche, Welsh. All right, so after Hoskins goes. Jaron Duran at 1605, Cal Raleigh, then Bailey Ober, great value at 1607. Welsh, you took Max Muncy. That was like a hate pick, I feel like.
I know. Well, I didn't have a third baseman. Berger was on the list, but no. I love he qualifies 40 homers, but $120 average or whatever. I needed a third baseman. I actually,
by the way, he said a $120 average just in case you thought he said something else.
Yeah.
You said it really fast. I thought for a second it might be,
popped,
but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Oops.
That's what I say usually about Max Muncy's average, by the way. That's
all right,
typically
I'm up.
A bit about that. So Welsh is going to be back up for his pick. After Muncy, Tommy Edman, Sal Perez, Trevor Story, Azalea, and then Welsh at 1703 for his next.
Another one you're going to love.
Oh, God.
This is a Joe Love sandwich.
Hey, Welsh, I got in my pocket. I want you to have this. I've got a box of matches. I want you to just light this roster on fire. That's what I want.
I'm lighting it up, baby. We're going all in. We're going Rodon and Muncy.
Here you go. Here's a question. Are you, because I know everyone's talking about Rodon in really good health, like he looks very fit again. He shaved the mustache off, so he's looking younger and all these things. Are you buying into just the physical health of Rodon coming into camp being better, and you're just washing away last year, which is really tough considering this is a player historically that you had so many issues staying healthy year after year. Then you had like sort of a really good year with the White Sox, but incomplete. And then a really good year with the Giants, and he signs with the Yankees. And then we're back to square one again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm washing last year clear. Also, if you look at a lot of the, like, even K percentage number, everything was so abnormally bad last year while dealing with these injuries from the previous 2 years. Previous 2 years, he had like a 33% or higher K percentage. Like, a healthy Radon can still be good. So I didn't want to kill him for one of those, one bad seasons. And here's the other thing, and I've said this a bunch. When you get outside the 150 range, you can take bigger shots. I didn't take big, crazy, risky shots early on in this draft. O'Neal Cruz is the number one I did. I can take some of these shots. And outside the 150, a healthy Rodon, healthy-ish Rodon, can strike out 200. So it's a no-brainer to me to take Rodon outside of 150. Muncy might not fit some roles because of the batting average. But yeah, I mean, I think this is where you can do that type of stuff. There's some, I mean, I see Eloy went a couple picks after me. That's another type, bounce back risk type of thing to do. There's always
all right. Let's continue on here with some of these selections as we go recapping. After Rodon, Estrada goes at 1704, Kenley Jansen at 1705, more closer 1706, Craig Kimbrell. Then Mitch Keller, who I got to tell you, Boggs, I like this pick here, especially in the 17th round. I understand the second half was incredibly disappointing. Yes, the regression hit hard, but at the same time, the strikeout rate did maintain. That's what I keep taking with me when I talk about Mitch Keller. It's like, hey, you get this deep into a draft, you got a guy who could approach 200 strikeouts. You take that guy and you hope that he can make some incremental improvements. Do you see that in the future of Mitch Keller this year in 24?
Absolutely. And it doesn't even have to be improvements. It's just really fixing that second half, which if you look over the course of his career is very unlike Mitch Keller. So I'm going to bank on the talent. Still don't love the situation in Pittsburgh. I wish he was out of there, but that's why he goes in the 17th round. You know what I mean? So I feel more than fine taking Mitch Keller at that point.
More than fine. Not even just fine, folks. More than fine.
Pretty dang good, guys.
After that, Eloy Jimenez at 1707, Maya the Mighty have fallen, Nolan Gorman at 1709. Then I took Brandon Nimmo at the end of the 17th round and Wyatt Langford at the beginning of the 18th round. I needed some outfielders. Nimmo is a very solid one, so I'm going to lock him up. And Wyatt Langford, Welsh knows I'm a big fan. Like, you can have your Evan Carters, give me Wyatt Langford rounds later, and I'm a happy boy. Gavin Williams goes at 1802. The Kwan at 1803. Stephen Kwan. Marte. I love this pick, Boggs. Let's talk about Marte, because this is the problem when you do take Ohtani and you lock in that utility spot is you can't have fun later on if you have some empty roster spots. You got to fill out your roster. So Marte I had to pass on, but you, my friend, scooped him up.
Yeah, I mean, I still needed CI, so I scooped him up, and he just will be my util at this point because I have Jake Berger as my CI. But a guy with power, a guy with upside, a guy with potential. Once again, love this Reds lineup. I'm a Reds fan here. When we get our insights, I'm going to be rooting for the Reds for sure. I know that, but it's fine. That's a good offense to be rooting for. Welsh and I went through it. I wasn't 100% sure on Noelvi Marte's playing time. But we went through it. We looked at it, and it looks like he is going to be, if not an everyday, most days, 140 games, somewhere in that range, as long as he stays healthy and isn't terrible. So really like that pick.
There's some decent pitchers here still remaining on the board, and I think this is, again, one of the pluses of that 10-team league. A lot of guys I think, Welsh, you and I have talked about that are still remaining here. So if you are going to play in these 10-team leagues and you do forego pitching, you can make some, take some shots and make up ground later on. Brian Hayes at 1805, Low from the Rangers next after that. Then following Low selection, Barrios. Welsh, you took Hunter Brown. Love that pick there. Great value at 1808. Alvarado at 1809. Then 1810, Yu Darvish. Starling Marte kicks off round 19, followed by Stevenson. And then Welsh, maybe I think the best pick you've made in this draft. The 19th round, Eduardo Rodriguez, that's bananas, my friend.
Yeah, and I got to see him throw a little bit. What was it, Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday. I went out to the Diamondbacks. They had a fan fest going on. It was away, but the guys were on the backfields, and I got to watch Eduardo throw a bullpen session. Dan Herron was there with him. He looked really good. And one thing, it's just a stupid little thing, but after he threw, he stayed on the field with Herron for the rest of the pitchers, for all the pitchers. And every pitcher that came up and went, they just got right off the field. I don't know. I thought he was really locked in. He was throwing strikes, looked fantastic, and does look like he can be a top of the rotation. I'm not going to say ace because they have Gallen, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's the number 2 fantasy option for the Diamondbacks.
Certainly wouldn't. All right, we see some guys taking some shots on young players too, because Christian Javier, Willie Adams, and then we have Jose Leclerc and Scott Bogman. You went prospect here, Jackson Holiday. Let's talk about 19th round. Sounds good to me.
I mean, look, we're right around pick 200 here, and this is a guy who is invited to camp, could potentially start. We know the rookie of the year, extra pick, compensation, all that stuff is pushing some of these guys to start on the squad. And the Orioles need this, especially if Gunnar Henderson is going to be less than 100% or miss time at the beginning of the season. This is a guy that is going to be in the middle of that lineup for a long, long time, and I'll be happy to take him. At this spot, right around pick 200 is fine by me, and I think I'm highest ranker in the world on him. I think I have him like just above 150, and that makes me highest on him, and I don't have to take him there.
All right, for me now, I'm just going to start taking guys that I feel like can give me some productivity here. I'm going to go ahead and take two guys back to back. So after Holiday, Bryce Miller, Sean Murphy, I took Chris Morel from the Chicago Cubs, and then I'm going to take Paredes too, another guy who plays everywhere, first, second, third. I like that. Gives me flexibility with the lineup, which is always a good thing too. And obviously something that's very different. If you're in those daily transaction lineups, having the guys like Steer, having guys like Paredes, having guys that have multiple eligibility really do make a huge difference. I passed on Lars Nootbaar. I almost did it just to spite Welsh, but I'll open up my spite store a little bit later. We are in the end game here. My offense is falling off. My pitching's still very good. We'll see how things go here, what Draft Wizard makes of all this, but still pretty tight here.
There's so many great pitchers that are still available too, by the way. It's like there's a bunch of decisions. Yeah, there's a ton of decisions to be had here. Evaldi just went. This is a good spot. Like I said, 10-man is not a good practice for anybody that's going to play in bigger leagues, but 10-man is just such a great format to make as part of your rotation. A lot of people are starting to go beyond playing in one fantasy league. I don't know. There's something great and just uniquely fun about a 10-man league because you can have really good stud rosters that don't feel depleted, and then balance that out with like a 16-team league where everybody stinks and sucks, and you're just like, oh, I have no utility.
I think the 10-team league is a lot easier to make trades in too because you have players that are more valuable in that sense. You have replacement value a little easier on the waiver wire. I think there's a lot of reasons why a 10-team league in baseball is okay still. I know people, 10-team, I'm going to roll my eyes at that. I don't think you should. Especially if you are going to push the envelope with rosters, which is what you have to do. You got to go 5 active outfielders. You got to go with the corners.
I found going from bigger leagues to smaller leagues makes me less likely to cut a guy in the smaller league too. Like I don't have that quick trigger finger because I'm so used to, I need to save this guy for later in the season. So I don't know. That's a weird thing that kind of opens up when you're in a 10-man as well.
So after Paredes in the 20th round, Nadia Valdi, Tovar from Colorado, then Brendan Pfaadt to you, Scott Bogman. So Pfaadt showed you enough in the postseason to get you excited about 2024?
I mean, he was outstanding.
I almost took him over Eduardo.
Yeah, he's so good, and he, led the minors in strikeouts before. Everything adds up to him having a pretty big breakout season this year, and we'll just say Welsh was a year ahead. That's all it was. So
I've been a year ahead many times, many times here. All right, let's continue on here. So after that selection of Pfaadt becomes, let's see, Tristan McKenzie. Everything's moving so fast. Shane Boz, Lars Nootbaar, Candelario to the Welsh, then Varsho, Edouard Julien. Brian Wu starts the 21st round, followed by Vaughn Grissom, Nick Pivetta. So Pivetta and Candelario, how do you feel about these two selections, Welsh?
Yeah, I'm excited about Candelario, one of the best hitter parks you can possibly be in, 25-plus homer potential. They love him. They want him to play every single day, middle of the order, run RBI opportunities. Pivetta just did a social short for FantasyPros. You check out from July 1st on, Pivetta had the best K percentage in baseball, the best K percentage. And he had on the entire season, he was the number one starting pitcher with the biggest increase in whiff rate. So no starting pitcher had a bigger increase year over year in whiff rate on Pivetta. Plus, you're getting tons of stuff out of camp, how rocked and slammed he is ready to go. You've got Bodie that's in there that's going to be working with the pitchers. I think there's a lot to like about Pivetta. 200-plus strikeouts in his future. I talked about him a bunch. And at the end of the rotation, like, gimme Nick Pivetta.
All right, so Pivetta goes. We've given him to you. Stop demanding that.
Just make sure I have him.
Braxton Garrett, Mason Miller. Then you took your catcher here at 2107, Wilson Contreras. Then Correa. Jack Sawinski, I'm on the clock here, so I'm going to go ahead and take JD Martinez, who also has yet to sign, but he'll sign somewhere. Again, he's more trade fodder here for me at this point. See, I'm all about taking talent. I'm not just trying to fill roster spots here. I know I've locked in my utility spot with Ohtani. I just want talent on the roster. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to take some outfield depth too with Lourdes Gurriel. So Bogman, I know it's coming back to you. You just selected Contreras. You took your catcher. What are you looking to do next?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Braxton Garrett here. This is a guy that I have in the top.
Well, you can't because he went already before you in the last round.
Gotcha, sucker.
So, all right. Shoto Imanaga, very interesting pitcher still out there.
Yeah,
Shoto Imanaga, Nick Lodolo, old man Charlie Morton.
I have three other pitchers in my queue here.
Well,
so,
I'm glad. I hope one of them is Kenta Maeda. That's what I.
Are we going? Are we doing the bench?
Wow. Yeah, we're doing.
We're doing the bench, baby.
Okay. Oh,
we're in the bench. We're in the end game now. And of course, like I said, make sure you go and run your fantasy drafts as well over at fantasypros.com/mock. Don't forget, sync your leagues for free. If you haven't synced your leagues ever to Fantasy Pros, just the idea that if you're in just two leagues, just two fantasy leagues, that you can set both of those lineups from one spot on Fantasy Pros. It's worth doing it. It takes 2 seconds to sync your league. And just for that alone, especially, people are busy, especially if playing those daily transaction leagues, it's so much easier to do everything in one spot. So just for that, sync your leagues. And then you're going to see all the other amazing things, the personalized updates for your team, the customized news and notes, everything that's going on there on my playbook is so good for baseball as well. So download the app, go and use that stuff. So Imanaga goes after Kelenic. You took Aaron Savali. Byron Buxton, our old pal, goes next here at 2205. Then Charlie Morton, Alex Lang, Caminero. Ooh, Welsh. Good selection here at 22 here.
Yep. Bench player, post 200s. Jackson Holiday is one of my favorites. He went 150. You got Langford, I think, Joe. All those guys went. We pushed 60 picks. And then I got who is a potential AL Rookie of the Year candidate and is one move away from guaranteed playing time, but they might send him to the minors. But what better position to put yourself in than put him on the bench? And that's exactly what I did. And I had Max Muncy as my starting third baseman. So if Caminero gets going, that could make him a little less valuable. Exact type of play that I wanted to do. I'm very, very excited that he was still there.
Like it a lot. Can't argue with that. It's a great selection there. Much better than Byron Buxton this round if you were going to take him. I would yell you for that. Are you officially done with Buxton? Like, have you guys broken up forever?
Nope. No? We're still paying attention. He's going to play outfield this year. He's back. He
just celebrated Valentine's Day, Joe. They can't break up now.
Oh, baby. It's an abusive relationship, Welsh. I think we should like have an intervention.
It's more one-sided is definitely.
That's a fun episode. We should do fantasy intervention here. I think that would be a fun episode to do where all of us pick one player.
All of us. It'll just be everybody against me. Yeah, I know what this will be.
You tell me to stop drafting a guy. I'll tell you to stop drafting. Same thing with Boggs. Like we all have these guys that we're like, hey, look, enough is enough. You had good intentions and now it's gone too far.
I know how this goes. All right, I'm going to take Polanco.
Okay, Polanco goes, and like just so you know, Boggs, Giancarlo Stanton probably would have been that guy for you maybe a year or two ago. Chris Bryant. Are you done with Stanton? This is like all the past.
We tried counseling, it didn't work. We're gone. We're done.
Okay, Taylor Ward at 2302, Polanco at 2303.
Now that he lost weight, but
it was like Swift and Kelsey, and then like Bogman Stanton. So that was the order.
Same type of fervor.
And every single year it was a cruel summer. There you go. Boom. Done that. Bam.
I don't think I can name 3 of her songs.
Well, I can name 300 because I have 2 teenage girls in my house, and I like Taylor Swift anyway.
I was about to say, it's because of the girls. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Are you kidding me, Scam?
Yeah.
My God, I've never.
Scam once again upset Scott Bogman, and this is a player I was looking at too. So at least I know I wasn't going to get him. Polanco, Tyler O'Neill, Brandon Drury, Jung Hoo Lee, who could win a batting title, hitting first here for the Giants. Love that. So Boggs, what's the pivot at 2307?
I'll take Lodolo. I was not ready for that. Like he is so low. Jung Hoo Lee is so low in the rankings. I thought, easy chance I get.
And this is why I use the cheat sheets, everybody. So you can find the players if you want to use a consensus, like a Bogman Welsh cheat sheet. If you want to use my cheat sheet, you want to go to some of the other experts, you can create your own. Put them all together, and then you can see and attach it to your drafts as you are mock drafting, as you are drafting your actual draft too in your premium. subscriber of Fantasy Pros. Brian Bayo goes. Andrew Abbott goes. That's to me. So let's have some fun, shall we? I think we need some pitching here. I'm going to take Lucas Giolito on the bounce back, see if we can get from him. That's right. That's fine. You can be gross all you want. And then
not me being gross.
I'm going to take Emmett Sheehan because that's another one of my dudes there. And it's getting a reach alert. I understand that. Draft Wizard's probably not going to like me after that, but I'm looking at, Walker Buehler. I'm looking at Clayton Kershaw, and I see Emmett Sheehan making a lot more starts than people think in 2024. I'm just saying that's my feeling here as we look here on the draft board here. Not too many picks remaining. We're towards the end of the draft. We're in the end game now, looking at the categories so far too. I am now behind in terms of home runs. I have fallen off a little bit there. I'm in the middle of the pack in runs, pretty decent in RBI, down in steals, so I got to make up some ground there. Batting average still very high, thanks to my friend Luis Ariz, but I am top 5 or 4 at least in every pitching category. So maybe I can eke it out.
You might take this one. This might be your day.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, I did go heavy pitching. Maybe that was enough to carry me over. Scott Bogman towards the bottom of runs. Welsh, you also behind me in runs. Looking at home runs right now. Scott Bogman ahead of me. Welsh ahead of both of us. The top 3 right now. RBI, I'm in the middle of the pack. Welsh is at number 2. Scott Bogman is at number 8, I believe. Excuse me. And then in stolen bases, Scott Bogman, you're back in the middle of the pack after all the Esteury Ruiz selection. Does that make you upset?
I don't think it's right. I mean, it depends on what Holiday will get,
True. That's true.
So how much playing time he'll get. So
that is one thing, Boggs, we got to talk about, right? Because the projections of younger players, most of the time they're very conservative. Most of the time they are. And that's not a bad thing that they are. But when you look at Caminero, you look at Jackson Holiday, you look at Wyatt Langford, I think those are players, Jackson Churio, that all of us personally see them playing maybe a lot more than projections do, but also see them contributing more. Are you willing to jump in and be aggressive on some of these young players?
Absolutely, especially in a 10-man. In a 10-man, I'm more than willing to go ahead.
Because replacement value is easier.
Yeah, the replacements are on the wire. In a 15-man, they may not be. So, it's a heavier investment to take a guy that may not play. But in a 10-man, when you do have starters that are on the wire every day, you have way more leniency in those risks.
All right, let's cap the draft board here and take you through the picks that have gone through. So after I took Sheehan, Brent Rooker, Gavin Lux, Josh Bell to Scott Bogman, Yuki Matsui, Pepio, Presley, Gabe Moreno goes to the Welsh. You got your boy, Welsh. You feel good about that?
Yep. I mean, 10-man taking a catcher this late and taking a catcher that might be hitting 3 for the team, hitting in that top order. They love Gabby Moreno. Corbin Carroll did this live stream, and these people were putting in Gabby for president. And he told everybody, he said, you know what? You bring a sign that says Gabby for president, and I'm throwing you a baseball. Like that. He is the heartbeat of this team, man. And he's going to be hitting at the top of the order, ton of run, ton of RBI opportunities, and a little bit more launch angle. And he's going to cross over that 20 home run marker. So yeah, he's a steal of a catcher here.
I like it. All right, Welsh, why don't you recap the rest of the picks while I make mine here?
Let's see if I can get back over to it. After I took Gabby Moreno, there were players that were taken.
Never mind. I'll do it. I
just got to it.
No. Don't trouble yourself. Robert Suarez at 2409. Anthony Rizzo to end the 24th round. Max Scherzer sighting, everybody, round 25. MJ Melendez, then Carlos Estevez to the Welsh, not Emilio Estevez. Clearly an
Emilio.
What is the best Emilio Estevez movie? Is it Breakfast Club? I think it's Breakfast Club.
I was about to say, give me another movie besides Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks, Breakfast Club, Young Guns.
Mighty Ducks 2.
Mighty Ducks 2.
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like there's other Emilio I feel like there's another Emilio movie that we're both missing.
Young Guns and Mighty Ducks, that was it. That's all I had.
No, well, you can't not say Breakfast Club. He was in The Outsiders as well. Another 80s
that's
classic.
Actually that's
Men at Work with Charlie Sheen, his brother.
It's definitely also a good movie.
A fun, stupid movie, but yeah, I think
all of this knowledge acquired by working at a video place in the 90s. Very well done, Joe.
West Coast Video.
There it is.
15th Street.
There it is. Oh, yeah. The address.
And by the way, Bill, our producer, just went in. He is all in on the young guns. I just want you to know. All right, so let's go out Blaze of Glory these last 2 rounds. Oh, this feels so good. Francisco Alvarez, great value at catcher in a 10-team league there. Jeff McGovern took Kenta Maeda. Scam took Clayton Kershaw. So all the her pitchers going round 25. If you're keeping notes at home, Jordan Lawler, Nelson Vasquez, Velasquez, Michael Wacha. I took Kerry Carpenter and Taj Bradley. I'm looking at Taj Bradley as another guy with a live arm that got rushed last year in the development.
That was the damn it you heard from me was I wanted Taj that late.
Well, you should have taken him over Michael Wacha. I'm sorry, buddy. You could have, should have, but you didn't. So you took Henry Davis and Wacha. Let's talk about those 2 picks.
That was Welsh. I didn't take Henry. I didn't take Wacha.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going the wrong way here. You didn't take Wacha. Henry Davis, Reed Detmers, Scott Bogman took Lawler and Kyle Harrison. Let's talk about those 2 picks instead. Those are the 2 I want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking risks late here. That's what I'm doing. So Kyle Harrison, I think is a decent risk. Should be in the starting rotation in a good ballpark all year long. We'll see if it works out or not. Lawler, look, I love Perdomo, but Perdomo is a defensive only player. That is it for him. He could maybe slide over to third, and Suarez could DH some days. I think Lawler is too good right now. They kind of have him as a quad A player. I think he needs to start most days for this team. So I think as soon as Perdomo proves he cannot do it with the bat, Lawler is in that lineup every day, and I don't think that's going to be very long.
Okay, continuing on here. After Harrison, we've got Andrew Vaughn, Max Kepler, then Nestor Cortez, Christopher Sanchez to the Welsh, Jason Adam, Justin Turner, Colt Keith, rookie for Detroit there last round, Brendan Rodgers, Marcus Stroman. Welsh, I was going to take Stroman. You took it before I could.
Took Stroman right at the end.
Sanchez and Stroman. Let's talk about these 2 pitcher selections here. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, Sanchez is going to be given the opportunity for the most part to be a starter. I think they said like it's 120 plus innings, high strikeout numbers, end of the year really great. This is a strikeout chase. Stroman's not really a strikeout chase, but it's ground balls on a team that's going to win a bunch of games. So it's just a shot at some wins and hopefully maybe a little bit lower ERA and WHIP, but I'm not chasing strikeouts here. And just back end of this setup, as far as our pitchers go, I went 3 pitchers and 2 position players on my bench, by the way, if people are wondering. 1 closer, 2 starters, and then I really only took 2 infielders for my other spots. So I didn't get any backup outfielders, something I'd have to think about in making moves once the season would start.
But Welsh, I think, when you're in a 10-team league, if you don't have a deep pitching bench, I think that's okay because the streaming options are so much more plentiful, typically speaking.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, that's a very smart point. Sanchez is the type of player I would take at the end of the draft in a 10-team because I think he can be more than a streamer. Stroman isn't much more than a streamer. So the better play in this would have been actually something like Bogman did, taking like Sal Frelick, who could be playing infield, or we saw Colt Keith going. Like taking shots with that last pick or 2 is probably the smarter way to go in this, but I'm also here to beat you too. So I'm trying to get a better
score. There
you
go. So the draft is concluded. I took Seth Lugo with the final pick of the draft there. I was kind of surprised he was still floating around there after last year. So I know he pitches for the Royals now, but whatever. I got a B, 84 out of 100. Solid. I'll take it. Looking at this roster, Diaz at catcher, Freddie Freeman at first, Andres Jimenez, Anthony Volpe at short. Again, I'm higher on Volpe than most. Got a nice stolen bases in that middle infield for me. Solid corners, Freddie Freeman, Paul Goldschmidt, Alex Bregman. I feel really good about those corner guys. Luis Ariz, the middle infield guy, helps out with batting average. Then Luis Robert, Chisholm, Nimmo, Langford, Morel. I'm hurt a little bit in the outfield, but I do have Shohei Ohtani at utility. So that, to me, is like having him and Robert at the top. Not too shabby. The starting pitching, Kevin Gossman, Aaron Nola, Zach Eflin, Justin Steele. Then Diaz, Michael King, Lucas Giolito, Taj Bradley, Emmett Sheehan, Isaac Paredes, JD Martinez, Kerry Carpenter, Gurriel, and Seth Lugo. Welsh, your thoughts on this squad here that I drafted?
I like what you did. I mean, I actually like the Yanier pick early on. I think the infield has a little bit more risk, but we've talked about the Volpe thing. Like, I think Volpe could be super sneaky. I love the corner middle, the outfield. I just thought you did a good job. There's a couple picks that are not my favorite, but it's not the end of the world. But I think you have a great pitching staff. You took my best friend. You got some closers. This solid. I think it feels kind of like an 84. I'm dying to hear your insights, though. I want to hear the insights.
Here you go. The insights here. I reached on Michael King in the, it says in the 16th round. Well, I actually think it's absurd. No. 4 rounds earlier than he's ranked. Well, that's going to change, folks. Also on Emmett Sheehan, which makes sense. It says, what if I took Marcus Simeon instead, which is something I did think about. But Welsh, you did finish above me. I finished fifth. You finished fourth. J-Rod for MVP finished first, by the way. So shout out to J-Rod, the winner of today's draft with a 99 score. Well done, my friend. Well done. Welsh, if you're looking here at some of the reaches and steals and some of the expert opinions, Kelly Kirby and Ariel Cohen liked my draft, and some fella named Chris Welsh liked my draft too. You know who hated my draft? Scott Bogman hated my draft. He gave me a thumbs down, and he also finished last here. So if you're not first, you're last. So Bogman, you weren't first in this. Let's talk about your roster, shall we, my friend? How dare you sully the good name of my draft? How dare you, good sir? All right, let's talk about it here. Bogman's team.
Well, first of all, for your team, Joe, number one, too many Dodgers, right? Number two,
too many guys on the best team in baseball.
You took you took too many of my players. That's number two. All right, that's why you go on the list. No, I think I really like the way you built your team. Specifically, you took your risk in the outfield, but you also got bench outfielders. So, I think it was a smart way to go about it. So,
all right, so let's talk about your roster, which I actually like, Bog. Contreras at catcher, Wilson, that is. Casas at first, another player I'm high on. McLean, I'm high on. Love Lindor. Marte, I think, is going to be a stud. Reese Hoskins, Jackson Holiday. This is a nice dynasty team you put together. Fernando Tatis Jr., Alvarez. You're not the host of the Dynasty Show for nothing, right? Spencer Steer, Jordan Walker, Esterio Ruiz, Jake Berger. Then the pitching, Pablo Lopez, Peralta, Clase, Gilbert. Love
I actually really like Bogman's team, even though he's such a big fat loser, being the very bottom of the ranks here, the worst drafter. This is actually a really good team.
But I mean, he's got Clase and Phillips. He's got at the back end of the rotation, Merrill Kelly, Mitch Keller fought. The bench is solid with guys like Josh Bell and Lodolo and Lawler on it. Oh, I don't think this is a last team, Boggs, but the one thing, it is a little young. But you said before, you're willing to go a little bit younger on your teams in the 10 team, because if it doesn't pan out, you can find some veterans on the waiver wire a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think the spots that I'm worried about are I waited too long to take third, right? So I took a risk in Noelvin Marte, but I backed him up with Jake Berger. And then my middle infields is Jackson Holiday, and maybe, I have Jordan Lawler on the bench. Maybe I should have gotten someone more stable on the bench than Jordan Lawler to back him up. But Sal Frelick might qualify at middle infield at some point pretty early. Plus, we're going to have some guys, on the wire. But that is the one spot that I thought was weak on my team, was that middle infield spot and maybe my starting third baseman. I like everything else on my squad. I thought my pitching staff wasn't sexy, but it was good. I got 2 elite closers. I got decent power and speed. Average is always a question mark for me, so I think that's a fair critique of this team as well. But I like this team I put together. I don't think it
what experts
belongs to be dead stinking last, as the Welsh pointed out.
But here's a question: what experts liked your team? Just at it, because I got Ariel Cohen and the wonky penguin. I mean, let me just
make sure that they both hate my team. So Ariel Cohen and Kelly Kirby both dislike my team, but who likes it is Scott Youngson from Pitcher List, Chris Towers, Welsh's co-worker, Travis Argo, Mike Mayer, our boy, loves Freddie Peralta,
who likes nothing,
and Wilson,
by the way.
and Scott Bogman likes Scott Bogman's team. So that's very strange.
Love you some you.
All right, you ready for the winner?
Well, you are the winner of the three of us, so congratulations. You did it, buddy. Yep. Let's talk about your team here. Let's talk about the team strengths, which you can also see here. Gabriel Moreno's your catcher. Harper at first. Albies at second. Bobby Witt at shortstop. That's a tremendous start there. Max Muncy, boo. Candelario. Cruz at shortstop. O'Neill Cruz, that is. Cody Bellinger, Seiya Suzuki, Evan Carter, Teoscar Hernandez, Ozuna, and Dansby Swanson. Well, it's just a nice mix of like steady guys, superstars, and some youth that could really pop for this team.
And there's a lot of stolen bases that are like, there's nobody insane, but everybody is like,
the guys like Teoscar is like kind of a boring, nice player, but at the same time, you still got O'Neill Cruz. Like, is that kind of roster? I like that kind of roster.
Yeah.
A little bit of floor, a little bit of ceiling. George Kirby, Zach Gallen, Joe Ryan, Jordan Montgomery, Carlos Rodon. It's a great rotation. Doval and Pavetta as the relievers here. And then you've got Hunter Brown, Eduardo Rodriguez, a great late pick, and then the bench was solid too. Caminero, Polanco, Sanchez, Estevez, Stroman. I think the bench really is where you cleared that hurdle at the end, Welsh.
Yeah, I got my second closer. I got depth as far as starting pitchers go. I love my pitchers for strikeouts. I think I got a ton of strikeout options, some good whip options. I mean, this is what I wanted. I wanted a little bit maybe of a better second closer. I kind of screwed the pooch on that one a little bit, and that may have held me back. But here's some insights on mine. Finishing 4th place, but higher than it. By the way, we should reach out to our friends or Trophy Smack, and we should get me a belt for finishing 4th in the mock, but higher than you.
They don't hand out preseason trophies. No, ask the Dodgers. They don't hand out.
I was hoping I could get one that just says better than Bogman and Pisapia, and that's all I wanted. But here are my insights. It was telling me if I had, this is an interesting one. If I had drafted Nolan Jones in the 7th and drafted a shortstop later, I would have scored higher. That's when I took O'Neal Cruz, and I thought about taking Nolan Jones, so it locked that in. It said I got a insane steal, a 7-round steal on Gabby Moreno, which it locked in. And check this out. I'm actually going to save the expert that loved me the most. Some of the experts that loved me loving me some me, Brandon Myers, Mick Cialella, and Frank Amarant all loved me. Who hated me? Keith Lott, Scott Youngson, Pierre Camus, Andy Behrens, our boy, and Blake Meyer. But the person that loved me the most was Scott Bogman. Scott Bogman loved me more than anybody. So thank you, Scott. I love you too.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Chris. Weird you calling me Scott. Look, not a surprise. I'm your biggest fan on and off the podcast. Look at that.
Jeez, let's get out of here because this is getting way too emotional here. Don't forget, go run the drafts on your own or with your friends at fantasypros.com/mock, or just download Draft Wizard today, wherever you get your apps, because it's easier to just do it that way and have some fun. We've also got our Discord open, fantasypros.com/chat. We got an old mock draft channel. We're going to be running some mock drafts in there too. Welsh, myself, so you can draft directly against us. That's coming up in the weeks ahead in March. Very exciting time. Our draft kit is up live, fantasypros.com/draft kit. It's free. Go to fantasypros.com, check out all the articles, the rankings, the ECR, and a whole lot more. Boys, this was a good time. I want to thank Bill for taking care of us today, our producer behind the glass. But that'll do it for us. The story, however, of the game goes on. For Bogman and the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Happy drafting.
Peace.